So Twitch may have just made one of their worst changes ever, and a lot of people are mad about this as recently they announced the fact that your content would be used to train a generative AI by default, which again is absolutely crazy because of course a lot of people have been very against obviously, you know, their own content being used and potentially replicated and stolen from them. And again, it is very, very bad, right? But obviously the worst part is the fact that this is on by default, and many creators have been speaking out about it and have been very upset about what has been going on because, of course, as you can see here, they say Twitch now uses your channel to train a generative AI by default. You can now opt out of some training here. So you can see there is essentially a little tab here that says training for generative AI, which you can turn off. But essentially, yeah, this is an opt-out rather than an opt-in kind of thing, which of course is where the most controversy comes from. Because again, you know, as we know, many creators do not like generative AI, especially if it is being trained on their own content, right? So making it a opt-out kind of thing is kind of worrying because, of course, many people won't know that this exists and their channel will be continuously being used to, you know, generate potentially a replacement for them in the future, right? Which I think is absolutely crazy. And again, if they wanted to do it through an opt-in kind of thing, I could probably understand it, right? You know, as I said, you know, you guys know on my other channel that I'm pretty 50-50 on AI, right? I know some people like it, some people dislike it. But again, if they want to create a thing that maybe is an opt-in situation that people can go and, you know, help them if they really want to, then, you know, I think that would have been fine. But it's the case that they've done it opt-out and have forced people into being, you know, trained for their AI to the point where, yeah, people that don't see about this news will be trained, will get their content trained towards AI. And it is, yeah, pretty worrying, right? And of course, there's been a couple of clips, including this one from Twitch talking about the patch notes and everything like that. And essentially saying Twitch isn't making Gen AI training opt-in because nobody would voluntarily choose to opt in. I wonder why.
Service already permit training of models. We went the extra step to add the control to let you opt out. We know many of you will opt out, and that is completely by design. Now, why is it not opt-in?
I could tell that this person here, I swear, she doesn't like AI because you can see her putting her thumb up like, guys, it's okay, I swear.
That's what everybody is here spamming in chat. I get it. Let me opt in versus making me opt out. Well, there's an honest answer, and I think most of you probably can appreciate this. Like, if it was opt in, nobody would opt in. That's honestly the answer. So by it's going to be on by default, and as I said, almost every content service in the world.
Bro, the reaction of what's her name, Mary, the head of community there, it's so funny. Bro did the speed gif, you know, the speed gif of him just like, bro.
And as I said, almost every content service in the world is on by default. I think the thing that we're doing here that is unique and different is respecting your wishes to opt out of model training. And I know this is not a fan favorite. I know it's very upsetting to the community, but this is you know, where we are.
Yeah, we don't expect you.
Service are.
So yeah, obviously he knows that, of course, this is something that people aren't gonna like, and it's a little bit weird because, like, why would a company obviously, you know, choose something on purpose that people don't like? Well, it's of course because they can make some money off of it and whatever, and by generating these models and things based on streamers. And yeah, he literally admits to the fact that, yeah, we know that people don't like it. That's why we're going to hide it in the settings so that the people that don't know about this, essentially, yeah, they get trained on AI, even if they don't want to be. And even if the creator that doesn't know about this doesn't want to be, we're still going to do it. And it's going to be an opt-out kind of thing. And they just like straight up admit that, right? Here's a personal opinion. I feel like Twitch used every bit of leverage they have to get an opt-out. If Amazon made the full call, as Minty says, the TOS already permits full AI training, and Minty knows it was being used that way. See attached screenshot. So yeah, apparently they're trying to say that, like, essentially this guy was trying to say that, like, it was an Amazon call rather than a Twitch call. Like, Amazon wanted this to be implemented because obviously they are owned by Amazon, rather than like a Twitch thing. So they're saying the headline is no one would opt in, which is very true and telling. So Twitch doesn't get credit for the extra step of adding opt-out, because a creator platform should do right by its creators, but I think it's worth noting. A similar thing happened a couple of years ago with Prime subs, where it sounded like Amazon wanted to hard nerf the free Twitch Prime sub, but Twitch fought to keep it with only a slight nerf in payouts instead. Again, they don't get credit for it, but to me back then it was also worth noting. So they say here, Twitch executives have been talking about using streamers to content to train AI for years. In 2024, the chief monetization officer, Mike Minton, said that Twitch has a role to play in training Amazon's generative AI models, adding that Twitch content was already being used in a prototyping, not in any kind of production scale capacity. So yeah, obviously they're trying to say that, like, yeah, Twitch used their leverage to get the opt-out. So they're saying, like, if Amazon could have it their way, they wouldn't even have an opt-out button. They would just like kind of do it. But it seems like Twitch have kind of like tried their hardest to, like, at least at the minimum get an opt-out, and they couldn't get an opt-in, which of course, yeah, I mean, it sounds like the clip sounds bad whenever this happens, right? And whenever he's talking about it, and even, you know, this guy here, I know that he's the one talking about it and whatever, but even I can hear that, like, he sounds very like, oh god, I've got to like explain this to everybody. And it seems like this has been like an Amazon forward things, but still, I don't think like this should have been the way. I feel like maybe they could have fought harder against this. But yeah, he said, I hate this useless stuff. When are they going to get rid of it? And of course, they're not going to get rid of it. That's the bad part, right? Of course, there was a Twitch support thing as well, saying we've added a setting that lets you opt out of having your channel content used to train generative AI content models across Amazon. Click here to learn more, and they put a little bit of a link there. And obviously, yeah, people have been asking questions and things, including Shota, obviously big VTuber, saying, can I ask why this is on by default and you're making people actively opt out rather than vice versa, when many community members have constantly vocalized against this development, which again, as they explained in here, they did it because they knew that nobody was going to opt in, which again sounds like some super villain level kind of stuff. But again, it's just like, apparently that's what Amazon has been pushing for. Obviously, Lucy Pye saying, thanks, we all asked for this feature, and it's super ethical that it's on by default. Obviously, you know, do a little bit of, what do you call it, a bit sarcastic there. Saying, how about you see what your community wants instead of ignoring the huge back petition? Everyone signed not to have this, but you won't because you corrupt like every CEO. Obviously, Camilla as well, saying L, Kuro with the skull. And again, it seems like from what it is here, right? They understand that this is a very, very unpopular decision, right? I think the Twitch know that this is very, very unpopular. People are going to get mad at this. This was going to cause drama. This was going to cause a problem for them. And that's why, obviously, you know, he announces it so sadly. She's obviously trying to look away from the camera quite a lot because they know that, like, hey, this is a bad decision. People are going to hate this. Nobody's going to like this, right? But it's, yeah, it seems like Amazon are pushing hard for it. So they kind of have to, right? It's like they're almost forced to by Amazon. But of course, as I said, I don't know. I feel like maybe Twitch could have used their leverage to at least put in an opt-in thing rather than opt-out. But apparently they couldn't get to that point, which I think is kind of crazy, right? And it kind of shows the state that Twitch is at the moment. Saying shouldn't have it in the first place, saying, okay, now remove it completely. If the retards will remove themselves from the AI training, AI will end up being trained on base people with base takes, which again, maybe, you know, that might be the case. Flork saying it should be opt-in by default. You're banking on people forgetting about it to train the AI, which, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're banking on, because they say that, yes, you know, they didn't choose an opt-in system because people wouldn't choose to do it, because they know that they're, you know, essentially if it's an opt-out situation, people will just like not realize it's there. And not realize that this is happening. And obviously that's why we've seen so many posts as well from many content creators in the space that have essentially been saying, hey, by the way, you know, they're training this kind of stuff on you, so remember to turn it off, right? That's what a lot of people have been putting out recently, like little warnings, because obviously not everybody's on Twitter, not everybody reads the terms of service and Twitch support updates and things like that. So there will be, you know, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of streamers who will be getting trained on, the AI will be getting trained on without them knowing, because of course they've decided to sneak it into the settings. And also as well, I saw a couple of videos of people trying to access like the actual like check mark to turn it off. And apparently it's quite convoluted. It's not like an easy button just to click. You have to like go through a couple of like menus and then you can get to it, which of course doesn't help either. And, kind of further, gives evidence for them to kind of be hiding it a little bit from creators to be able to turn it off, right? Saying on by default, I find it funny how right underneath it says Twitch respects your privacy, which is, yeah, that's quite funny. Yeah, saying on by default is very malicious of you, constantly disappointed with these decisions that go against wishes of the community. Cool. So everyone on every channel is opted in by default, and because the opt-out is channel side, chatters don't actually have any control over whether they're being used for training, and I would guess that the channel's generative training opt-in state isn't visible to prospective viewers, which again, yeah, I don't know how that works. Again, I don't know how exactly the AI itself works. I don't know if it's trained on the actual just content itself that they are streaming, and they just take note of what they are streaming and how things work and stuff on the stream, or if they're actually taking into account the chatters too. Like for example, if you were to go into a chat, is it learning what you are saying and how chatters interact? Because technically, that would be a problem, because now you are being subject to it as a viewer. You are being subject to being trained on, and essentially they're training everything that you say in the chat. And of course, there's no indicator for this if a streamer hasn't opted out or not, right? There's nothing to say that this streamer has opted out of this so that you will not be trained on if you are chatting in the Twitch chat, which of course is a problem too, because obviously nobody knows, right? Nobody knows if you're being trained on or not, which is pretty worrying, right? Saying opting people in by default is not consent. Saying this also is illegal in the EU, forcing it on is a breach of EU data laws, apparently. Saying you have to opt in. Saying no consent, no data processing, which is interesting. Saying, may I ask why it says turning off still means that it can be used for other AI learning features? So yeah, obviously as well, some people are confused about the fact that in some cases it says like, hey, so you can opt out of it, but we're still going to use it in other circumstances, which is pretty interesting, because they say that they have been using it for a while, just not so much on a commercial level, but apparently they're looking to use it on more of a commercial level. I'll see Tobo here saying, another reason for someone to make an independent community-powered and run streaming platform. Twitch, once again, proving to be out of touch with its community. Twitch trust and safety, a joke. Twitch AI features, useless. Twitch revenue splits, predatory. And yeah, this is becoming, the kind of different levels of frustration that people are having with Twitch, right? First of all, the trust and safety and all of this kind of stuff, with the whole TwitchCon Emeru thing, whenever she got literally assaulted live on stream. Well, not live on stream. She got assaulted, as someone was filming it at a meet and greet. But, of course, that was a big issue that people were very, very worried about with the safety. And the same goes for things, for example, like the Extra Emily situation, where she obviously almost crashed on stream for streaming. She's done it multiple times, but for some reason she keeps on getting unbanned. It's just kind of a joke, right? Obviously, you got the AI features, which is obviously what we've just been talking about. That is obviously a big problem too. Then you got the Twitch revenue splits as well. They're just not very good, right? Compared to some of the other competing platforms, they're pretty terrible and you barely make any money. So it kind of begs the question, well, why are people still sticking around? And obviously, one of the big reasons is because Twitch is popular still, right? It's still one of the biggest, kind of streaming platforms, but people are starting to move away from it now. People are starting to, all of these kind of bad decisions add up, and people, tend to go to different platforms like Kick, YouTube, some people Rumble. I don't think too many people go to Rumble, but again, they're starting to go to Kick and YouTube and all of these other places, which can give them the better kind of experience, that will ban the people that, actually cause harm, that will actually give you a fairer revenue split, especially Kick, of course, that gives, what is it, 95/5? Is that the split? Which again, is much better for people and for streamers. Saying turning this off does not opt you out to Twitch and Amazon using your channel content for other purposes, including AI-supported Twitch features. So yeah, obviously, even if you do opt out of it, you're not like fully opted out, which obviously is an issue that people have been having. Obviously, that's the clip that we just watched. They make sure you turn this off in account settings under security all the way at the bottom, and let Twitch know that you don't agree with the automatic opt-in. So yeah, so many people. I'm going to use some very strong British language to describe my feelings, so apologies. Dear Twitch CEO, you're a gormless plonker. So do you want to explain why under the opt-out option you explicitly state that you can just use it anyways, which yeah, obviously tons of people are annoyed, and I can understand why, right? You don't have to be the biggest AI hater or anything to think that this is bad, right? You could love AI generated things, you could love ChatGPT or whatever, But I think, you know, obviously this is an issue, right? I think even people who like AI can understand why this is an issue and why keeping people opted in is an issue as well. No matter whether, you know, as I said, you love it or you hate it. I feel like, yeah, people can all agree that having people default opt in is crazy, and there should be an opt in rather than an opt out for something like this, right? But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this situation, though. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.